speak with two people that the president named explicitly as his personal envoys on these matters, Mr. Giuliani and Attorney General Barr. Again, the White House's records of the call that they released to the press prove President Trump did just that at least 3 times. And Jonathan Lemire, I can't say enough how dangerous it is to leave the president's smears and lies hanging out there even for a minute.
No, it's extremely important to do the fact-checking. It's a service that you just did. I'm glad this network has been doing that. Other outlets should as well. We certainly do at the Associated Press. But I think what you saw today from the president, amid including some of the falsehoods, is what has been happening behind closed doors for days sort of burst into open. And it was for all the public to see. We know, according to our reporting, how angry the president has been, for a week or so now. Felt angry that this story overtook the United Nations. Angry at his own staff, Chief of Staff Mulvaney, Press Secretary Grisham, for not providing any kind of counter-narrative, but not being able to slow down the news coverage. Angry at Fox News because some of the anchors there are not friendly enough to him. Angry at his allies in Congress, like Kevin McCarthy, because this president, time and time again, values loyalty by people willing to go on television to defend him. And
that means lie, because the White House has put out the notes of the call
for sure.
Where Trump, they have coughed up confessions to everything in the whistleblower complaint.
That's right. But the president has encouraged aides and staffers to lie throughout his time in office. And that there's no question that he's doing that again now. But he's very few Republicans, with other than a few exceptions like stalwarts like Lindsey Graham, are willing to go out there and defend him. And those that have, he feels like have not done a good job, like McCarthy on 60 Minutes tonight, tripping over himself. And what we saw here, though the public certainly is getting a taste of his anger on Twitter, but we're used to the president sort of being angry on Twitter. What we saw today in the Oval Office next to the president of Finland, and then again at this news conference, was the pure rage, the frustration from this president who feels trapped, who feels that there is no easy way out of this. Yeah, is he angry at the media? Sure. Is he blaming Democrats? Of course. Adam Schiff in particular took the brunt of it today. But more than that, the people that I've talked to around him feel like he's just angry at the situation he is in. He does not see an obvious way out.
Jake Sherman, if I were the Democrats, I would continue down this path that is, as Jonathan Lemire describes, enraging Donald Trump with the confidence that he's run all of his plays. He doesn't have anything else. He's got rail against the media. He's got rail against Schiff. And he's got, my call was perfect. Let's try to delude my 35% into thinking there's nothing wrong with asking a foreign leader for dirt on my opponent.
You kind of stole my top to playbook for tomorrow because I was literally just talking to my colleague John Bresnahan about this on the phone as I approached this camera. And John, what you and John both said is 100% right. Surrogates are not willing to defend him. Members don't know where the bottom is. I guess I have to find a new top to playbook. And everybody around him, his staff is leaking. There's no White House press conferences. So there's no infrastructure around him. And we had something today in Playbook about how Republicans feel like there is no strategy and the president is just kind of lashing out randomly. And we saw that again today. And meanwhile, it's equally important to point out what Democrats are doing, which is the committees are getting more and more serious about holding the president to account, meaning if they stonewall Congress or attempt to, as Adam Schiff said, he's going to take that as obstructing a lawful investigation. Congress does have the right to do this, and he's going to use that as evidence of obstruction and use it as some evidence in some cases as trying to cover up the underlying pieces of information that they're trying to get. So you see the president kind of in one corner, Democrats getting more serious in another corner, and the president's only strategy at the moment appears to be lashing out. And there is no counter narrative because nobody knows where the bottom is besides the president and his inner circle in the White House. Members of Congress are increasingly skittish about going on air to defend him because they don't know exactly what they're defending. They don't really have much to say, but what about Joe Biden? What about Hunter Biden? What about Hillary Clinton? What about no subpoenas from Republicans. So not especially powerful messages. So the surrogate kind of backpack is empty at the moment.
Well, the surrogate backpack is empty. And if you play out any of the threads, what about Hunter Biden? I mean, Donald Trump's kids travel the world with pamphlets with the president's name on it, you know, schlocking condos all over the free world. I mean, the idea that Trump wants to fight on this terrain, that a politician's children can't have jobs, is shocking to me. But if you play out the idea that they need any more facts to develop in the pattern, that seems faulty too. If George W. Bush had asked one of his closest friends on the world stage, which Zelensky clearly wasn't to Trump, but if he'd asked Tony Blair for dirt on John Kerry, I think he would have been impeached in about 4.5 weeks. If President Obama had asked Angela Merkel for dirt on Mitt Romney, same thing. I mean, what are the facts that they're trying to deepen and sort of have dead to rights on Capitol Hill?
Well, a few things. What I had a Republican tell me today, well, maybe Hunter Biden did do something wrong. We have no idea. Maybe that does merit an investigation. But that doesn't disprove that the president also might have done something wrong, which Congress is trying to get to the bottom of. The interesting thing to me here is that the White House seems unwilling to provide some sort of strategy to deal with these investigations. As you know, because you worked in a White House that was under constant barrage from a Congress of another party under Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, right. Henry Waxman, who was all in George W. Bush's face. The Bush administration provided information. It was like pulling teeth at times, but to quiet his opponents, to quiet the opposition on Capitol Hill. This administration does not appear to want to hand anything over to Capitol Hill, so that just continues to enrage Democrats. So the president said he's very happy to cooperate. That's not what we've seen so far. That's actually the opposite of what we've seen. So again, no real strategy and no real plan to have a strategy at this moment.
Well, staffers, I mean, I was a White House staffer, and when the Waxman emails came over, nobody from on high told us what to do or not to do. So we code word searched our emails and turned over Enron emails, turned over Valerie Plame emails, turned over U.S. Attorney emails. I mean, it would seem that, at least at the State Department, not everyone is taking their legal advice from the top down when they've got a Secretary of State who appeared to lie in a round of Sunday show interviews about being on the call in the first place. I mean, how is, you know, who's running the rodeo at the State Department in terms of those subpoenas?
That's a good question, and that's presumably, based on our reporting and others, why the Inspector General is up here today to talk about whether State Department officials have been instructed not to cooperate with Capitol Hill. And that's going to be a big deal in the coming weeks and months, because you have now 3 committees, all with subpoena power, looking into that. And I think if you look deep into these agencies, there are people, career employees, who don't want to play by the same rules that some in the administration on the political side want to play by. So this is going to be the tension in the next couple of weeks. And, you know, Adam Schiff said, we're not playing games. We don't want this to go on forever. But it appears, based on what we see in the public, that it's only deepening, that there's only becoming